Welcome back, everyone, for some Elite Speak, and we are here reviewing AEW Dark, episode 48, August 25, 2020. It was noted that on commentary we had Veda Scott once again joining Tony Schiavone and Taz, and she did well once again. She did well. Like I said before, I hope that she continues to be used even when the Women's Tag Team Cup tournament concluded last week. I still hope to see her in some capacity on AEW programming, and this is a good start since Excalibur hasn't been there. She's been filling in. Even when Excalibur returns, I hope she is still used. First matchup was Storm Thomas and Demetri Jackson versus the Best Friends. Chuck and Storm Thomas starts the match off. Chuck gets a headlock on Storm, but then tries to knock him down, but to no avail. He later tags in Trent, and Thomas tags in Jackson. Trent goes to work on Jackson in the corner with some strikes, and Jackson then gets some life in him, but Trent shuts it down with some knees to his chest. The Best Friends then get a double team action in on Jackson. Chuck then shoulder blocks and stomps Jackson in a corner. Later, Storm rushes the ring to help Jackson, but he gets a suplex from Trent, and Jackson gets a tornado DDT for his trouble. Outside the ring, Trent hits Jackson with a spear. Trent then hits a knee on Jackson. The Best Friends then win with a double package pile driver on Jackson. Thought it was a decent match, and the Best Friends show some aggression throughout this match because they are looking to send a message to Santana and Ortiz for destroying Trent's mom's van. Next match, we had Jesse Sorensen versus Shawn Spears. This match has some storytelling. Starts with a headlock via Spears. Sorensen gives one of his own. Jesse works on Spears' arm via an arm drag. Spears then gives Jesse a chop. Tully then says, "Stay on him," to Spears. Just as Jesse gets some momentum going, Spears rolled out of the ring for a pep talk from Tully. Spears then gets some more aggressive shots in on Sorensen. Sorensen then fights back with chops of his own. Spears then drop kicks him to the back of his head. Outside the ring, Jesse gets his face pushed down onto steel steps, and then he gets slammed onto the ring apron. Jesse then goes for a jackknife bridge pin, but gets a 1 count. This is when they were in the ring. The neck is the story of this match. Jesse's neck. Spears then hits the DVD on Jesse for the win. There was never any doubt who was going to win this. Tully then slips Spears something for his glove. Spears stands over Sorensen for a bit, as if he's waiting for him to get up, but instead, he grabs Jesse by the head and strikes his neck with the glove. And by doing this, he attacked a part of Jesse's past because Jesse Sorensen was put out of action with a broken neck some years back. And Spears was using this to his advantage in the match. Solid matchup here. Next match, we had Red Velvet versus Mel. I like Velvet. She's short, but she uses her speed, agility to her advantage when paired up with someone like Mel. Red goes in on Mel to start, and it's the only way she'll get any offense in. She then hits the ropes, but runs into a side slam from Mel. Mel then goes for a choke slam, but gets a Cazadora from Velvet to stop Mel in her tracks. Then later, Velvet climbs to the top ropes, but dives into a choke slam from Mel for the loss. Mel wins the match. It was a pretty quick match, and it made Mel look dominant. Solid match for what it was. Next match, we had D3 versus Lance Archer. This was brutal. Before the match starts, Lance brings in a poor victim to the ring, whom gets a big boot for his troubles. D3 then gets beat down. Archer then body tosses D3 into a corner. D3 then suffers a huge choke slam for a 2 count, but Lance wants him to suffer more, so he breaks the count himself. D3 then attempts to come back with uppercuts, then goes for a dive, but misses. He then suffers a blackout followed by an EBD claw for the win. Lance Archer comes out on top. Both look good, and D3 has very nice selling ability, I noticed. He's from Italy, and he's doing his country proud. Good stuff. We probably will see more from D3. This is his second showing on Dark. Next match, we had The Initiative versus Luther and Serpentico. The Initiative features Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon. Will they get their first win? We shall see right now. Luther and Serpentico rushed The Initiative into the corner to start the match, barely gave him a chance to react. Later, Avalon gets the better of him with a drop kick and an Hurricane Rana, then tags in Cutler, whom gets his aerial moves off. Then tags in Avalon again. He body slams Serpentico for a 2 count. And at this point, it's noticed that Avalon was very desperate for a win after the 2 count. Cutler then tags himself in and delivers a kick to Serpentico, but Cutler gets trapped in a hold in a corner by Serpentico. He then tags Luther in. He body slams Serpentico onto Cutler at least twice for a 2 count, and this was Luther performing the body slams. Both showed great teamwork as they tagged each other back into action repeatedly. Luther then tears apart Cutler's face as he attempts to get Avalon's tag. Cutler then gets his hot tag to Avalon, whom runs wild a bit on Serpentico. Avalon then hits an underhook sit-out powerbomb on Serpentico for a 2 count. Luther then reverse suplexes Serpentico onto Avalon. Avalon then almost gets a 3 count on Luther via Leva's distraction. This was the closest they've ever gotten to a win, but alas, nope. Cutler then hits a TPK on Serpentico, and Avalon hits a move for a 2 count via Luther's breakup. Avalon goes to hit Serpentico, but instead hits Cutler, whom suffers a double knee double team move for a 3 count. The losing streak continues. No win tonight. Next match was one of my favorites of the night thus far. Nyla Rose with Vickie Guerrero versus Kylan King. Kylan King is someone whom I believe has improved each and every time she's been on Dark since her debut on Dark. I believe AEW should be keeping a close eye on Kylan because she shows major promise. She is a good candidate to be considered for a job if they would like to give it to her. The two lock it up to start as Rose walks King into the corner for a strike. Nyla later tosses King outside of the ring. She then jumps into Rose's arms and gets rocked into the ring post. Nyla then stretches her with the use of the ring post. King then pulls Nyla into said ring post to get her to break up this hold. Both later, while in the ring, Nyla hits a spine buster on Kylan King. Rose then goes for a choke slam, but King gets out of it. King gets out of another hold immediately after the choke slam reverse. King then hits Rose with a modified Samoan drop after she mustered up the strength to even lift Rose and got a 2 count for this. Vickie then tosses King off the top rope, which gives Rose the opportunity to hit a beast bomb on King for the win. Post-match, Nyla tosses King out of the ring and Vickie grabs the microphone. She says, "I just love a victory. All of you should be honored to be here tonight to witness what a picture-perfect vision of success is." She stands before us with a distinguished legend as a manager. Nyla symbolizes destruction. She names their alliance the Vicious Vixens. I actually like that name. Has a nice ring to it. She invites the other ladies in the locker room to come into their ring and play. You know where to find us, and you definitely know our name. And Vickie hits her evil laugh, and the segment ends. Solid. I like the match, and I like the post-match promo. Good stuff. And this was also the first time that we actually got to see Nyla Rose come out with Vickie for a match. And it happened on Dark. Nice stuff. Next match, we had the Gun Club, Billy and Austin Gunn versus Frank Stone and Baron Black. Frank Stone looked pretty good. And he was out. He had a match last week as well. Austin and Stone start the match. Headlock takedowns via Billy, then tags in. Takes down Stone for a 2 count. He then tags Austin back in. They continue to work on the arm of Black. Frank Stone then gets in the ring and hits a tilt-a-whirl slam on Austin for a 2 count. Actually, Black stomps in on Austin in the corner. Hits a Snapdragon suplex for a 2 count. And I believe Austin hit the Snapdragon. Black then tags in Stone, and they continue to build up the hot tag for Billy. He then gets the tag to Billy not long after this, and he runs wild on Stone and Black. He tosses Stone out of the ring and goes for a Fairmaster on Black, but he ducks it. Stone then hits a splash on Billy, and he falls back and tags in Austin. Austin later hits his hip toss to neckbreaker, or Billy, as Austin calls it, the quick draw for the win. I like the hip toss to neckbreaker combo. It's pretty slick. The Gun Club continues to roll on. Next match, we had Penelope Ford versus Heather Monroe. Heather Monroe was last seen on AEW programming facing Shida a few weeks ago. The two lock it up, and Ford gets the upper hand early with an arm drag. Both trade these up. Heather then springboard arm drags Penelope. Kip then grabs 2 lead blowers, holds them akimbo, and blows them into Heather's face. This allows Penelope to get the upper hand. As Ford chokes out Monroe on the ropes, Kip goes in for a kiss. Later, Heather hits a schoolgirl on Ford for a 2 count. Ford then gets a few chops in on Monroe, and Heather hits a backstabber on Ford. Ford hits her perfect plex on Monroe for the win later. Decent match, but I don't like a fisherman suplex type move as a finisher. It just doesn't feel as impactful as another finisher would. So hopefully Penelope adds a bit more moves to her arsenal going forward. Next matchup, we had Santana and Ortiz versus the Metro Brother. Both Ortiz and a Metro Bro, the silent one, start the match with locks. Ortiz makes his way back to his feet and gets taken down with a headlock. Both trade blows, and Ortiz ends it with chops. He later hits a step-up enziguri onto the silent bro. Santana later hits the 3 amigos on a Metro, the silent one. Ortiz later hits a DDT on him. The loud Metro brother gets in the match finally. He goes after Santana, but gets hit with a double underhook suplex. Santana then catches the loud bro as he dives from the ropes into a powerbomb. Santana and Ortiz win with a powerbomb and a kick to the loud Metro bro. This match was more of a backdrop for what happened post-match. The best friends attack Santana and Ortiz in honor of Sue. They brawl into the crowd. Trent later tosses a huge trash can to the back of Ortiz, and the brawl then cuts to a promo ad. I wanted to see more of this brawl, but alas. Next match was one of my second favorites of the night. Ricky Starks versus Sean Dean. Both of these guys looked great. The match starts with a headlock, then Dean gets a hip toss to Starks. Both are looking good here. Ricky then gets a kick to Dean as he is in between the ropes. Dean then fights his way out and mocks Darby's coffin drop to Dean for a 2 count. Dean later hits his signature DDT move, Salute DDT, on Starks, then attacks him in a corner, and he gets a 1 count for his troubles. Starks then kicks Dean in the face, then hits him with his finisher for the win later. Good match. This further raises Ricky Starks' momentum as he eventually gets his match with Darby Allin at the pay-per-view, more than likely. Next matchup, we had Jake Hager versus Marco Stunt. I think most of us knew how this match would end. Hager had most of this match. Starts with a headlock, but immediately Marco gets dropped. Hager allows Stunt to get a headlock in, and he then tosses Marco into the ropes. Hager then says, "You don't belong in here with me. Get out." Hager holds the ropes open for him to leave, but Stunt kicks the ropes, which hurts Hager's yam bags in the process. Hager then rushes Stunt into the corner with side shots, but he quickly runs out of the ring. Hager then drives his knee into Stunt's chest as he's lying on the ground. He then suffers a big boot. Stunt. Hager then gorilla press slams Marco for his troubles after. But if that slam wasn't enough, Hager later slams and chokes Marco out for the win. Post-match, Hager threatens to take Marco out even further, but the Jurassic Express comes out to the rescue. Hager gets a cheap shot in and rolls out of the ring just as they enter. I liked the post-match stuff because Marco had it coming. That's for interfering in all their matches. Next match was my third favorite of the night. Frankie Kazarian versus Kip Sabian. This was like a real technical wrestling match here. Both lock it up and they get the better of one another early to start. Kip goes for a submission, but Kaz rolls over for a 2 count. Kip kips up and gets slammed immediately into an arm hold via Kaz. Kaz gets to work on Kip's arm as Ford shows some concern outside. Ford grabs at Kaz's foot for a distraction and Kaz gets knocked outside of the ring. Kip later stomps a mud hole into Kaz in the corner. After he speaks to the cam, Kip gets some chops in on Kazarian. Kazarian then comes back on Kip with a flying forearm and delivers an electric chair slam onto Kip for a 2 count. Kip goes for his finish and Kaz fights out of it. Both are then on the apron and trade strikes. Kip then hits a cutter on Kazarian for a 2 count. Ford may have been late for her spot there. Kip goes to the top of the ropes and misses a double stomp. Kaz then hits his finish on Kip for the win. I was surprised to see Frankie get the win here over Kip, but it might further the story that Kip feels underappreciated and while he's on Dark. I think we go from there. Good match. Then we had our co-main event. Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss versus the Hybrid 2, Jack Evans and Angelico. Kiss and Evans start the match. No headlocks here. Kiss gets some nice moves in on Evans to start. Janela then tags in and gets an arm lock via Evans. Later, Janela knocks Angelico on his ass. He delivers strikes to Angelico in the corner. He later tags in Kiss as they both hit their tandem double team moves. Angelico then throws Kiss into the turnbuckle. Evans flips into Kiss and rakes his eyes. This allows Angelico to beat him down. Janela then rushes to the rescue and stomps Angelico so that he releases his reverse figure 4 lock. Kiss fights back to knock Angelico off his tracks. Kiss backflips into Janela for a tag. Janela runs wild on Evans and tosses him into Angelico. Kiss later flips over the ropes and stomps Evans, and Janela Death Valley drivers Evans on the outside of the ring. Sonny later hits a 450, a nice looking 450 on Evans for a 2 count. Evans pins Sonny with a nice bridge pin that only he can do. The flexibility involved was just something else. Fully contorted, he gets the 3 count with the bridge pin on Sonny Kiss. And it was a great match. Solid episode of Dark. It's probably the longest one yet. I believe it was 13 matches on the card. Good stuff. And that'll do it for the AEW Dark Review, episode 48, August 25th, 2020. And I will catch you with the Dynamite review later this week. See you then.